friends, and welcome to my first Journal with Me video. In this video, I'll be updating my dated inserts, my weekly vertical and monthly insert from Traveler's Company. I'll also be updating my Hobonichi A6 for daily journaling. So grab a drink, your planner or your journal, and have a little journaling session with me. For anyone that doesn't follow me on Instagram, let me catch you up to speed. I currently live in Naples, Italy with my husband for work, and I got the chance to travel back to California, where we're from, to spend the summer with family and friends. It was long overdue. We've been in Naples for a year and a half now, and it was really nice just to go home and see family and friends. I have 2 young kids, and a lot of the time my only socialization comes from play dates for my kids and talking to other moms, but even that is rare. I talk about how isolating it can be sometimes living in a foreign country as a foreigner, and with me being a stay-at-home mom taking care of my kids, my socialization is pretty non-existent. I've been journaling since I would say 2017, and that was bullet journaling. I rediscovered journaling in July of 2022 when I found myself very bored and just feeling so isolated after moving to Italy, and it really gave myself a purpose again in trying to journal about my emotions, trying to cope with being away from family and friends, and journaling has helped me so much. Other than keeping up with organizing my family and planning and memory keeping, I really got to attest to journaling in being probably my number one way of socializing with people right now, even though it's all online. Before my trip back home in California, I have really built a wonderful community of journalers on Instagram. And when I went back home to California, I had the opportunity to meet some of the friends I'd made online in person, and wow, was it fulfilling. I really wish everyone in this community and in this niche would be able to meet someone in person and just journal with someone who gets it, you know? Now that you're caught up to speed with what I've been doing, I'll get to the current. And I'm currently back in Naples. We've been back for a week. We are struggling with jet lag, but to my benefit, I am getting a little bit of time to journal. It was honestly really hard to do this journal with me video. I had my 2 kids running around, and what would probably have taken me just 20 or 30 minutes took me admittedly like an hour and a half to film this and get everything recorded. But I am focusing on my journaling. I was actually pretty excited to get back home and get to enjoy my privacy again. It is nice that it's quiet, but I know the quiet will get too quiet soon. And I say that because I come from a very, very big family and friends who constantly want to spend time together and bond, and I feel like I'm living 2 lives. Like I have 2 homes. I got this quote that I used in a journal spread 2 weeks ago, and I'll read it for you. It's hard to be at home in 2 different places at once, to love both and miss both and cherish both, to commit to one but long for the other, and not truly belong in either place. I feel like that quote accurately captures exactly how I feel about us making a home in Naples but having a home back in California, and we don't even have a home, like actual property or anything. That's just where home is. That's where both of our hearts are. It's where our family and friends are. And this week of coming back here overseas and readjusting has been hard. I've been really relying on my journals. And if most of you watching are coming from my Instagram, I know how much you guys rely on your journals too. I think my journal grounds me. It helps me be in tune with my emotions. It helps me to process them. Journaling is everything, and that sounds so silly, but if it does all those things for you too, then it's not silly. Okay, I did not know my journal with me was gonna take this turn, so let's go ahead and talk about some of my journals here. I usually update my weekly vertical every few days. Now that I'm back in Naples, and I honestly personally think I have a very boring life here, I make it interesting with my hobby. And I will update my weekly vertical every 3 days or so. And I fill in all my free time, when I can get free time with having 2 kids, with my journaling hobby. I like to do collages and other journals, but every few days I will go back to this weekly vertical and fill it in with anything memorable. Sometimes even boring things, just to get a look at what day-to-day life is like when I look back on these journals in a couple years. For my monthly insert, I fill it in with highlights. Sometimes my highlight is starting a different show, but that's why I love one of the stamps I used in my vertical spread, and it's every mundane moment matters. I really like that quote, especially for my life right now, because the days really do blend into each other sometimes, especially doing the same things and caring for my 2 small kids. For them, they thrive on a routine, and I do too, but sometimes it's hard to be spontaneous and go out and do things, especially when you're trying to keep that routine for your kids. I try to take my favorite things that I do each day and make them special. For example, my morning coffee. I love coffee, and I try to make my making of coffee almost like a ritual. I try to make journaling special for me too. Having a nice clean space, putting on music or having a scented candle nearby, and just really creating a great atmosphere for journaling. I would love to read about what you guys do to make everyday mundane moments special. So leave me a comment down below, something that you do every single day, and maybe what you're doing to slow down, be intentional, and really romanticize those mundane tasks. I hope you're enjoying this journal with me so far, and I hope to do more of them. I'll probably always do voiceovers. That's just the type of videos I enjoy, is when there's conversation and I can play it in the background while doing chores or while journaling myself. Do follow me on Instagram, because my next Journal With Me video, I'll do a Q&A and answer those questions during the Journal With Me. If you don't have Instagram, no worries. Go ahead and leave me a question in the comments below, and I'll answer them in my next Journal With Me video. I often get asked how I decorate, and I feel like that's a really hard question to answer. It's not one specific answer, and you really have to just get into the mind of the person decorating. So with my Hobonichi here, I am decorating the pages for my daily spread. I like to personally keep the 2 pages following the same decoration or theme, and that way it's in one view, cohesive, but maybe I'll sometimes change the ink color that I write with, but I do generally keep it the same so that it's one nice aesthetic on the 2-page spread. Some things that went through my head to decide and finalize the placement were things like the color of the Hobonichi. For the month of August, it's a very rich gray dark blue, and I used some elements to balance that. So for example, on the right side of the page there's the number 8 in a blue square. I have one of these pet tape flowers with blue, and I made sure to kind of balance it. I put it in different places, and ultimately I decided for the blue flowers to be in the bottom left corner because it will help to balance with the blue square on the right and from the blue date at the top. Now that the blue flower was in place, I noticed that it's rather large, so I used the green girl to add symmetry and balance to the page by placing it on the right bottom corner. Because the girl is full of green, the daisy with the green background, I decided to place on the opposite page at the top to have another element of balance by separating the two green elements. That then left the Lily of the Valley sticker or PET tape with a brown background to be above the green girl. So I hope that all made sense in terms of how I decided to decorate, balance the spread with the colors, with the size, taking all of those things into account. I think it's really helpful to look at all the pieces that you want to decorate with and pick one thing to start with, and everything else will follow, taking into account where the eye goes, balance and size in proportion to each other, and where you want to write. My daily journal can be seen as a memory keeper most of the time. I write about the events that day, but sometimes I need a space to just write my emotions, maybe things that I'm frustrated with, things that I'm unhappy with, or something exciting that's happened. I will take up the whole page to write about that. If nothing really stands out, then it's pretty much a recollection of what happened that day. When I rediscovered journaling last year, I found an account that had multiple journals, and that concept was entirely new to me. I thought, why does she have so many journals? What could she be writing about? I came from bullet journaling, and that was to organize my appointments and work schedule. It was pretty much all planning. I wasn't really journaling, even though it was called bullet journaling. But when I found out about other people memory keeping and writing out their emotions and just writing their stream of consciousness, that's when I really fell in love with journaling. Creating bullet journaling spreads were becoming too tedious, taking up too much time, and when I was bullet journaling in 2017, I didn't have kids yet. I had all the time to draw and make these elaborate spreads, and I found myself growing frustrated when I would be a week into the month and not yet finished with my monthly spread. So I saw Traveler's Company notebooks and Hobonichi, and I had never once been to like dated planners. The appeal to me with bullet journaling was because I could spread out a week as much as I wanted, or I could have everything in one page. But with how busy my life's gotten being a mom, I rely on the dated pages now. I think it keeps me accountable. It takes out a lot of the guesswork, and so that's why I did a huge overhaul of my system. I'm really enjoying my system right now. I have the dated inserts and my dated Hobonichi daily, and I think I'm going to keep that into 2024. I know a lot of videos are out there right now about mid-year Techo Kaigi, and their plans for 2024, but I think right now I'm safe in saying that I'm going to keep everything the same for 2024. I'm really enjoying it right now, so why change it? With all the planner and journaling buzz, I think it can be easy to get sucked into thinking that you need to try something new or buy the latest journal and planner. I think that's a whole nother topic in itself. So if you'd like to hear me rant and talk about social media's influence on purchasing in the stationery world, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll do a separate video of that. Well, friend, I had a great time journaling with you. I hope to do this again soon with you, but it's time for me to go. I'll see you next time.